for a short period of time. My name is Russell Brown. I live in the Dallas, Texas area, and I support the Heartland and Texas regions, and I also support our largest U.S. franchisee, 14 Foods. I've been with Dairy Queen for a little over 22 years now. So seen it all from where we used to train at the corporate office to now where we have certified training restaurants out in the field. And I feel like I recognize a few faces that are on here that I've taught a PPP that you've been in or something. So, or been to your restaurants for the folks in the KC area, obviously been there. So looking forward to working with you as we go through all of the training.
And I don't think did I introduce myself last time, y'all? I don't think so. So I'm just Laura Clark, field training consultant. I have the Eastern Seaboard of the United States. So everything from Maine down through Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, all the way over to Louisiana and south to Florida, that whole section, and been here 9 years. And so, yeah, we're very excited to be here for you today. I think it was other people last week, so I don't know that we necessarily introduced ourselves. Russell and I just got done teaching PPP last week in Texas, New Braunfels. Did I say it right?
You did.
I'm so excited. It was like, took me all week to figure out how to say that town. It's between Austin and San Antonio, like halfway between the two. It's a really cool little town.
Mm-hmm.
We found some good eats last week, so that was always nice. We're happy that you're here today. You should be around maybe page 13 in your participants guide today. Is that right? It should say pass the torch introductory event. Is that true? Someone give me a thumbs up, either on the screen or just in the picture. Are we good? Good. Okay. Thanks, Manuelito. I appreciate that. So we're going to start today with a little bit of a review. Let me get the PowerPoint up and running, and you guys can make sure that you can see it today. So, and Russell's going to look at the chat and let me know. So, can you all see that as well? Okay, cool.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Nope.
Okay. It would help if I see is Teams. Help me if I share.
Did you do the audio?
I did do the audio. I checked. It's always set. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so welcome to the introductory event. So today we're going to do a little bit of review from last week. So how are you feeling about Microsoft Teams, using Microsoft Teams? Are we good? How's that going? I can't really see anything. Let me see if I can.
Lots of thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up. Okay. That will be good. Maybe I can get the Teams to show up here on this. Okay, there we go. All right, cool. And then what about the monkeys? What monkeys were you able to give back this week? So tell me some of the monkeys that you were able to give back. Who wants to share? You can just unmute yourself and then share.
You can also raise your hand and I can call on you. You can. Jamie's got her hand up.
I finally got it figured out here, Russell. Okay. I'm so proud of myself. So Jamie, what monkeys did you give, or were you able to give away or give back?
So I just took some tasks that I normally do and pass it on to my shift supervisors and my assistants.
Okay.
So, like hiring and orientations.
Okay.
Schedules, truck orders, putting trucks away, inventory, organizing the restaurant, our Rising Star cross training program that we do internally. and stuff like that.
Okay. So did anybody in the last week or so, did anybody do one of those tasks for you?
Yes, all of them.
All of them?
But
You
it
had
was kind
people.
of easy, it was easy for me because I've already been working on passing those on.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's a good thing, right? You're like, I'm so grateful I was working on that stuff because that makes it a whole lot easier. Anybody else that
Right.
gave a task and had somebody actually work on that from last week? Hi, Kempton. How are you? I see Dakota's here too. Anybody
Good. How
else?
are you?
Go ahead,
Uh,
Julie.
So in my team, I mean, we usually do this. I usually do the shift notes in my scheduling, and then, for my team to know what are their tasks to do every day. Right now, I passed this to my assistant, and then they're doing it by themselves, and I just check, follow through if they're implementing it. And then also the inputting of daily and weekly invoices, because we do that to track our bugs and everything that is particular in Data Central. So I also did that and give it to my assistant, and they're already implementing it. So what I do is just to check and verify it if they're doing it right.
Okay, that's great. And it's been going well. That's good. Regan, what's going on? What were something that you found what task that maybe you gave back or
Yeah,
delegated?
so my monkey was when I delegate any tasks, um, I want them to do it the way I think it should be done. And so this week I was really working on when I delegate a task, make sure that whoever is the delegee, or whoever receives the task is, they get it done and it may not have to be my way. It's like this last week, we had to do some training for someone who was going through phase 1. And I kind of have a way I like to train, and they had a different way. And so I really try to let them see how they like to do their training. And it kind of had to bite my teeth a little bit, but yeah, so that helped, and it all worked out. So
Did the key factor there was the end result the same? Like, did you both get the end result? Like, so did the
yeah,
other person get the end result that you wanted?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
even though they did it a little differently, the end result was still there. That's great. Good. Okay, what is something that you all have been doing differently to organize your time? And I'm looking over here because this is where you are on my screen because I have two screens. So I'm looking at you is what I'm looking at, not away. So how are you managing organizing your time differently since we talked to you last 2 weeks ago? Anybody doing anything different? Maybe using a calendar or using electronic? Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so I keep a planner, but this last week I've really started to break down, from this time to this time, this is what I'm working on, and then moving on to that next task, wrapping back around if I'm not able to get something complete. So that has certainly made better use of my time and kept me more focused on where I need to be in that moment.
Okay, that's great. Sometimes that's hard to do, right? Making sure you stay on track. And then also, it also gives you a better idea of what you're actually doing day to day. Like, am I focusing on the right things when you look back at it? So that's good. Anybody else? Okay. So, training buddies, just the names. Have everybody put in the chat one of your training buddies' name for the grill area? Are you able to identify somebody in the grill area for your particular store? Renetta, Ashley, Hari, Kate, Kylie. Good. That's good. Another Kyle. Okay. A little bit harder sometimes. Which was harder? What about the chill area? Also getting you all to use your technology a little bit today. Caleb, Megan, is that how, Megan? Okay. Savannah, Divya, Amanda. What about the service, whether it's drive-through or usually when we talk service, if they are front counter and do the drive-through? Mine are all to be management in my stores, Kim, okay. Looks like in general you all did. What area did you find to be the hardest to designate a training buddy? What area? No, nobody had any trouble designating someone in the 3 areas? It's okay. All areas pretty service. Usually that's where we find the one that somebody might know the front counter, but not necessarily drive through. Okay, grill service. I was gonna say, it's okay if you don't have somebody, that just gives you some time to work on that. So that's good. Okay, so anything that you're yellow or red on from last week or at this point in time? Anybody have any yellow or red? Doesn't seem like you all have anything. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the train the trainer, like the role of the RTS. So we're going to get into that. So here's some objectives of the RTS training program, and this will be on page 15. Remember, the page number is down here at the bottom right-hand side. So if you're kind of lost, that'll tell you what page we're on. So on page 15, we've got the RTS train the trainer objectives, and here's the first one is the goal for you is to lead in-restaurant training programs. So to lead the product and equipment and service and management in the restaurant. You're also to develop training buddies to assist with in-restaurant training programs using the DQ resources. We also want to make sure that we give effective feedback, both verbal and written format. We're going to spend some more time with that next week or next time that we get together, but you're going to absolutely be able to do that. Probably the harder part of that is the written format. We do it pretty well when we're verbally talking, but the written format's sometimes a little bit harder to do. And then we want to understand basic learning principles and apply those to the people that learn. We also want to apply situational leadership model during the class. So that's pulling out that information from People, Pride, and Profit. And that's why you need to have that before you come to class. And then you're going to develop some action items and execute against them. So one of our expectations is that you refine your training skills. A lot of you have those already, and we want to make sure that we're delivering effective training. So our first thing is, which would be on page 16, is our training model. Does anyone, you all know what those are, right? Explain, demonstrate, observe, coach, and assess. As a reminder, write those down in your book. So the reason that we do, and we talked about this in PPP, so this is just a reminder, it actually covers the 3 primary learning styles for people. So it helps with the auditory, the visual, and the hands-on. People learn by listening, people learn by seeing, and then people learn by doing. So by doing the explain and demonstrate, it actually helps us to be able to hit those 3 and then we should be always observing and coaching our teams every day, even though they may be been with us for 10 years. We still need to make sure that we're observing and coaching on a regular basis, because that way we can then go back, and if we have to explain and demonstrate again, we can, but we need to be looking at that. So we're going to use the models during these events. We're going to explain a topic or expectation, and then we're going to demonstrate that through videos or actual demonstrations. And we're going to ask you after each session what skills that you learn during the session. So one of the things we're going to talk about is, overall coaching, and then we're going to ask you guys to redo something that you're going to submit. So one of the things that we want to look at is the first 2. They're usually the hardest, the explain and the demonstrate part. So one of the things that people do a great job with using the model, it's just that we tend to put the explain and demonstrate steps together. And so once we use the DQ Learning Link. So a lot of people think the DQ Learning Link takes care of the explain and demonstrate part, but really the purpose of the Learning Link is to set the standard. So it's to tell what the Dairy Queen standard is, and then as trainers, you all will explain and then demonstrate the product. But what we tend to do is put those two steps together. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how does that look. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the explain step. So what you're going to do is on page 16, you're going to see that there's it says video 1 and video 2. So if you want to write next to video 1, the RTS is going to be doing the explain step. Now it says on the slide, it says, what do you notice that the RTS does not do while going through the explain step? What I want you to do is I actually want you to look at both things that he does do and things that he doesn't do in the explain step. So I want you to look for both items of things that he does well as things that maybe he doesn't do. Are you guys ready? It's about 1.5 minutes. Hopefully all my audio and everything's going to be working fine. So let's see if it works. Okay. You guys ready? Hey, don't forget to take notes.
No audio, Laura.
No audio. Let's see. Oh, I got the audio setting. Let's see if that works. Can you hear it?
No.
So it's under audio and
Sometimes you might have to stop sharing, click audio, and then start sharing again.
Yes.
okay. So it's on there. Yes or no?
No.
I can hear it perfectly. That's why it's kind of weird to me.
When you clicked on share, did you click on at the top include sound? Did you change that button before you shared?
I'm looking. There we go. Go to your device settings and okay, 1 moment. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties. All right, I think I got it. Technology, we love it. Share. All right, let's cross our fingers.
No.
Ah. And it said that it's it says share include sound. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. It's not wanting to. Maybe. I apologize. This is just crazy. Frustrating. Let's see. Try something else. Here.
So how's the fall going for y'all? Your sales good? How are
Thanks,
things
Russell.
going back in your restaurants?
Some of you
How's
guys went to the
staffing?
fall business workshop.
Yeah.
Who went to the fall business workshop?
I think the new core process is going to be a really, really awesome tool.
I agree. I sat through
Yes.
that yesterday.
I do not know why it's not letting me share either. Oh, strange. Well, y'all. Doesn't want to let me share with y'all today for some reason.
Wade, do you have that open?
I don't have it open, but I can try to get it right quick.
Do you
Okay.
have it like on your
I do.
computer?
No,
Not,
I only
not
have
on
it.
the drive?
I only have it from the drive.
Okay,
Okay.
just a second.
One moment. I'm going to get out of it and then. Y'all, thanks for being patient.
Do you want me to try, Laura?
You can.
I'm not going to try if y'all guys are trying. I'll just slow you down.
It's just is like.
Are you all seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It's updating something, so I've got to wait for it to update, maybe. Yeah.
I'm thinking. Okay. See if you can get it to share. Mine would not share. Like I shared and then
All
it
right.
wouldn't click.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Let's make a small
Is
vanilla
that plan?
cone. So our
Yes.
small vanilla cones are located right here. The small one actually has a blue band around the bottom of the cone. And we also have this actual size chart on the machine. So as you're making your cone, you can compare it directly to the size it needs to be on the chart here. The small cone, it needs to weigh 5 ounces, and we have our scale right beside of us, so we can weigh our cone when we're finished. And the small cone also needs to have 2 balls, and then of course the pearl on the top. So to make our cone, we are going to use the soft serve machine, and we'll rotate the handle so the ice cream comes out of the spigot. We're going to fill the cavity of this cone until it's level with the top of soft serve. Once the ice cream is level, we're going to lower our hand about 1/2 inch to make that first ball. You're going to lower your hand and hold it still while that ball's forming. Once the ball is a decent size, we're going to lower your hand to make the second ball. And then you want both of the balls, like in the picture here, to be the same size and same shape. So after the second ball matches the first, you're going to shut off the machine and lower your hand at the same time. And that's going to give you a kind of a string of ice cream that you can make the curl with. So you'll make your 917 curl. Do you have any questions about the cone?
Would you mind demonstrating?
Of course.
So on the video, what did you see him do or not do when he did the explain step? This is where you're gonna pick up your, like, take your mic off, raise your hand. Go ahead, Mark, what'd you see?
I really liked setting the standard, giving all those intricate details, 917, pulling down X amount, all those things that I think are often missed in the explain step.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. And somebody else had their hand up but took it down. Who else would like to add to that? What else did he do? Or not to? Manuelito, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's something missing on the video. I don't know if it's intended only for the cone. I think you missed something regarding the food safety because before we do everything, we need to show to the trainee on proper hand washing to avoid any cross contamination to any kind of product that we have.
Okay, so maybe needed to show to wash the hands first before you started. Is that what you're
Yes, ma'am.
saying? Okay, that's always
Yeah, ma'am.
important, right? To show the hand washing part. What else did you notice? Mary, go ahead.
I don't know if I missed it, but he missed explaining how you hold the cone, like you're supposed to hold it by the paper.
Okay, he did not say that, but that's good. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Julie.
I think you forgot to because when we make cones, we should have do the runoff first to make sure the ball and curl are incorrect. I mean, in proper way and standard form.
Okay, so would you say that he needed to explain about that before he showed that the next time? Okay,
Yes.
that's a good point, right? So if you haven't made a cone in a little while, you would need to make sure to take the amount out of the little spigot, right? That's a good thing. Carrie, what else? Oh, did I miss you? Oh, Julie had, okay. Go ahead, Carrie.
Always add about the drip ring, the importance of a drip ring and not
Okay.
to overflow it.
Right, that's an important thing. The question is, did he make the product? That's one of the other things he didn't do is in the explain step, he did not make the product, right? And that's another important part is in the explain, the purpose of that is for the auditory learner and the visual learner so they can actually see where everything is. So that's one of the things that we didn't see also is he did not make the product. So we want to make sure of that. Yeah, there's those other parts too, but he was also very, talked about filling the cavity, which is good. A lot of times we just say, you need to fill it up and then you need to do, drop your hand. So he filled, fill up the base. So he talked about that too. So there were some things that he could have done better, but there was also a lot of things that he did well. So let's take a look at the next one. And this one is going to be the actual demonstrate. So let's see how that looks in comparison to the explain step and how they relate to one another.
Okay,
thanks, Russell.
Let me demonstrate how to make a small vanilla cone. So like I said, we're going to use the spigot and we're going to rotate this so the ice cream comes out to fill the cavity. And once the ice cream is level with the top of the cone, we're going to lower our hand about ½ inch and hold it steady for the first ball, and then lower and hold steady again for the second ball. And then you'll notice I lowered my hand and shut it off at the same time, which gave me that string of ice cream. And we're going to do 9, 1, and 7. And you remember how much it's supposed to weigh? 5. So we'll use our scale to weigh it.
Okay, so now the question became, what did you see in this particular when he demonstrated or didn't see? What did you notice? Dakota, did you notice anything?
Can you hear me? Sorry, I had to switch over to my computer.
I can.
Okay. Kind of with the beginning, he didn't do the runoff again with the ice cream.
Mm-hmm. That's an important thing, right? Is to remind somebody if they haven't made a cone to do that little bit of runoff. That's an important part. Okay, good. Thank you. And this can be both good and, what you saw that he did well, but also maybe saw things that he needed to do differently. What else do we see? Carrie, what'd you see this time?
I saw that, or just him asking the question, do you remember how much it weighs? Is really important to get their insight, but it also makes them remember if you ask them questions throughout their time there.
Mm-hmm. When you're training them, especially when that first demonstrate, that's an important part, right? Is to ask those questions. So that's a good catch on that one, is to ask that question instead of just telling them it's supposed to be. That way you're reminding them of that. Mark, what did you notice?
Well, I'm not sure if it was
Thank you,
good or
Carrie.
bad, but this is certainly something that I do is trying to re-explain, reiterate those things that you've already said before while it's actually in motion and in practice, so they're connecting all of those dots together.
Mm-hmm. And so that's where sometimes we tend to forget about doing that first explain, is because we tend to explain as we're demonstrating as well, which is okay because then it helps to put the pieces together, like you said, but we do need to separate them out. Go ahead, Regan, what'd you notice?
Yeah, I like the way he showed her how to do the curl, because I think kind of like we saw in the first video when you just explain it, and kind of like what Mark just said, when you just explain it, it's kind of like a bunch of gibberish when you're hearing it. So you see it at the same time, and I like how he stopped, and then he stopped and showed her the stream of ice cream, how it gets thinner. I really like
Right.
that part.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And I'll tell you, from a person that doesn't get to make cones very often, I can't get that to work very well still to this day. And I've been here a long time. I'm always like, how do I get that to work the right way and to get that nice string? And I see people doing it all the time. So I'm always impressed by the way of doing that. But being able to turn it off and have that at the same time, right? And show how that string can make that curl is really important. Good. Anybody else on that? So how do those two things relate? Like, why is it so important that we do those steps individually and not always together? You could type in the chat. Let's try typing in the chat. Why are those two things so important that we do them separate? Go ahead, Mark. And then Carrie.
It allows the trainee to focus, whether that's on me speaking or on me showing them exactly what I want. It breaks those up so they're not having to choose, am I listening or am I watching? Kind of just lets them focus in on one of those aspects.
Mm-hmm. Because sometimes that can be distracting, right? Carrie, did you want to add to that, or you good?
I was going to say the same thing, but I did not mean to raise my hand. I don't even know how that happened.
It's technology, just like I had no idea how it worked before I got on the thing with y'all, and then it didn't work, the video. Okay, so that's right. Mary said because everyone has a different learning style, too much info at once can confuse the trainee, and that's true. So sometimes if we give a little bit of information, then that goes on. Different learning types. Same here. I was trying to type. That's so funny. Mark was trying to type at the same time. So that's the biggest part, is the fact of making sure that does give them the focus. And then you can also explain while you're demonstrating, but you want to separate it out because of the learning styles, but also it helps them to focus on, what are the job aids. So we didn't talk about that. When he did the explain, he actually used the job aids that were there about here's what the cone should be, here's how it should look. You can compare it to that. And that's an important part sometimes that we forget to do when we're training is, I see that cone chart, it's around on the side. I'm like, well, how's somebody supposed to, compare it to that or look at that while they're making a cone if they're new? So those charts are really important for a person that's learning, that they're easy to use and easy to see. So that's a really good point. So thank you for that. And you're going to understand why that those two things are going to be important when we get to the end of today's session about making sure you separate them out. So on the next slide, it talks about, and Russell, after this, I should be able to do do the PowerPoint. I don't know what the video thing was going on. So what are some characteristics of an effective trainer? So what do you think some characteristics of an effective trainer are? You cannot show that, Russell, if you don't want to for right now. So it's in your book on page number 17. It says, what are some characteristics of an effective trainer? Carrie, what's a characteristic? Write these in your book in case so take some notes. Carrie, what's one?
I'd say the way they communicate.
Okay.
Being able to train different ways, from visual to hands-on, word of mouth type of,
yeah,
speaking
and
like,
that's a different thing, and being able to rephrase it sometimes makes a big difference too. Like how do you might have to rephrase it 3 different times to get to the specific person. I think I saw Jess, your hand went up, correct? Did you mean to, Jess, or no?
I didn't, but that's fine. I can give you some characteristics. I would say that they need to be really knowledgeable so they can answer the questions.
Okay, that's good. And then we also have Jamie, you had your hand up as well.
Ability to adapt.
Okay, and be more specific about that.
Like we said earlier, everybody learns differently, so you have to adapt the way you train to help them learn.
Okay, that's good. Lachelle put in the chat teamwork. That's an important part too, is teamwork. Anything else? Come on, I know y'all have it in you. Consistent, that's a really good point. Lead by example. Doing the standards. Yes. Manuelito, yes. Doing the standards. It's not, here's what you're supposed to do, but here's how I do it. That does not work very well, right? Oh, Carrie, right-handed versus left-handed, adaptability. It's funny because when you're right-handed versus left-handed, that makes a huge difference. So if you always teach right-handed and you haven't taught somebody left-handed, you might want to practice that because that does make a difference. Passion, Julie says passion for learning. That's an important part. Do you all have patience? Sometimes that can be very frustrating, right? You have to have that patience that go there. And so what about things that an effective trainer doesn't do? Like somebody that's ineffective? Not coaching. Why is that so important for that, Carrie? Not to pick on you. I'm not trying to pick on you, but why is that so important, the coaching part, not coaching?
If they're not willing to coach, you're not going to not say catch them in the wrong, but being able to fix the bad mistakes, bad habits.
Right.
I feel like as managements, we're always having to coach and redirect, or you should coach somebody every single day on day shift, night shift, mid shift, at all times.
And that's a really important part, is making sure that you're coaching. And so it's interesting that you bring that up, because I see when I'm in visiting stores, I see product that, especially in the chill area, I see product that goes out that's not to standard. And I kind of look at the GM or the RTS or whatever, and I'm like, you're going to let that go out the window? And they look at me like, wait, what? And I'm like, that's not our standard, right? They're like short, fat, squatty cones and blizzards that don't, over portion or not blended. So it's really a thing that's so important. Somebody that's not motivated, Mary says, poor communication. Lachelle said, doesn't take the time to explain the task. That's an important one. That's why the explain step is so important, because if you can't explain it, remember we talked in situational leadership about that connection, right? Having the same picture of performance for the task. If we're not explaining that well, remember we talked about flower. you could be thinking the rows and I'll be thinking about baking flour. So we want to make sure that we're taking the time to explain the task. And then there's that inconsistency, making sure your staff is all consistent with making the particular products. Really important thing to keep in mind is those, is making sure that you're doing the right thing by the people. So Russell's going to take over and he's going to talk a little bit about the mission statement, which you all should know, our train the trainer statement, and then your role as an RTS.
All right. So we did this. What is Dairy Queen's mission statement? And I cannot see hands or anything, Laura.
I'll help you with that, Russell.
Okay. What is Dairy Queen's mission statement?
Come on. I was going to say, I better see about 16 hands. So we've got, okay, we've got Dakota. Who was that? Was that you, Dakota, that said that?
No, this is Roy, sorry.
I did not know.
Oh, Roy said it.
Go ahead, Roy. What did you say, Roy?
To create positive memories for everyone who touches DQ.
Okay, good. You guys all remember that, right?
Roy gets a cookie.
He gets a cookie.
He gets the cookie. All right. So
wait a minute. Didn't Dakota and them go to the fall business workshop today? You guys went.
Yes.
I was gonna say you should know that after that.
Yeah. How does that apply to you as a restaurant training specialist? And I'm going to start with, how does that apply to you in your restaurant with your people? Anybody?
Regan's got his hand up.
Okay. Regan?
I would say just kind of creating a positive learning atmosphere for the crew, because a lot of times I've seen people get really nervous or stressed out when they come in on their first day, and you want to start off by giving the crew a positive experience.
Yeah, you want to have that culture, that open, friendly culture. So it's that training, the learning atmosphere, knowing people are going to have a chance to learn. You think back to when you first started any job. It could have been Dairy Queen. It could have been something else. Were you just thrown in with no training or very limited training? How did that make you feel? Did that make you feel like you were being set up for success? So all of those types of things are about creating those positive memories for your team. And that was obviously a big chunk of what we were talking about in the fall business workshop this year, is how do I set that culture? So we have that learning culture. So we have that open and friendly culture. And that's what people want to be at. That's where they want to work. That's where I want to work. I would assume all of you want to work in a friendly, fun environment as well. So how do you?
I don't know if Dakota had anything to add because he had his hand up as well,
Okay.
Russell.
Okay.
So, I mean, basically that, but also, I mean, it also just comes down to the very first impressions you make, even just on the day that they come in to interview, to the point where they come in to do their orientation. It's just setting the tone of what the atmosphere and the environment's like.
Yes, I would 100% agree with that, Dakota. We have one chance to make a good first impression. And so it's having that plan. It's having a system and routine, if you will. How do I handle the recruiting, the interview process? What does that look like? Is it consistent? Is it friendly? Is it open? Is it relaxing? All of those types of things, because that starts to set up the environment that you expect for your employees. If you're not prepared, you're telling them, and it's okay not to be prepared. And we don't want to do that. Anybody else have their hand up, Laura?
No, we're good.
Okay. So now let's jump to how does this apply when you have external people coming to your restaurant to train? What are some ways you're going to create positive memories for these external managers and franchisees that are going to come to your restaurants?
Mary's got her hand up.
Okay.
I just had one. It's pertaining to my like truck drivers and vendors that come into my store. Just getting to know them on a like daily basis because they're delivering ice cream to me or my truck order or my Pepsi order. So just getting to know them on a one-on-one basis, kind of makes their day, creates a positive memory for them.
Yeah, you make a difference with them. You have a connection with them. Maybe that will make them want to rotate stuff for you or be a little nicer with the product and not damage cases or whatever it might be. So I like that.
Carrie has her hand up as well.
Okay, Carrie.
Something especially for all new employees I do, and I've always done, is introducing them to everybody that's there at that moment. So it's like, so even if they just walk in the back door with the training manager, they get to know who everybody is at that time on the staff. And so it's like, Melanie, this is Jai. Jai, this is Melanie. Melanie's training here. And you can just go around just so that they can get to know each other. Because how many times do we walk into, I mean, I shouldn't say how many times because I guess I haven't really had another job besides Dairy Queen, but how many times do you walk into a restaurant and it's your first day or a place of wherever you're working and you don't get introduced to anybody except who you're paired with for that day? And so it gets everybody to know who Melanie is or who Laura is. And then they can easily, because we all are shy after a while and on our first day, and it's like, do you ask, do you not? So it's that making them feel welcome side of things, introducing them to everybody on staff just as a greeting side.
Yeah, it could be as part of the store tour, however you want to set it up. If it's an employee of yours, it could be during the orientation. If it's an external manager, we have that built in to the actual schedule, which we'll talk about as we go through these sessions. But we actually have that piece in there, and I think that's an important part of creating that positive memory. So what else do we have for when you have an external manager or franchisee come to your restaurant? How are you going to create a positive memory for them? What's something you could do? So we got the store tour.
So think like you're hosting a training class.
Mm-hmm.
And these are all external people that are going to be in your store. What could be something that you could do for them?
They could be from a different state, possibly a different country.
Mark, what do you think?
You could certainly, I don't know what we have that's special here in Ohio. Maybe some Skyline chili. Wisconsin people, maybe you got some good cheese or something going on. Just something to welcome them to your location. Something kind of small that just kind of allows them to get to know the area that they're now training in.
Mm-hmm. We had a restaurant in Georgia that the fruitcake capital of the world in Clayton, Georgia. And the Chamber of Commerce gave a little gift basket that had a little piece of fruitcake in it and some other things from that local area. So it could be something, instead of you spending your money, maybe it's the local Chamber of Commerce that does it. But I like that idea of trying to welcome them. What's something else you could do that maybe you don't have to get out and do a bunch of footwork on? You may already know.
Not seeing any hands at this point.
Okay. So just picture this. You have somebody that comes into town. They know nothing about your town. Zero. So maybe have some ideas on things they could go see. Maybe there's a park that they should go to. Maybe there's a museum they could go to on their day off, or if they have a little bit of time off, something to do in the evening. Where are the baseball, softball games, soccer games they could go watch? What are the good restaurants to eat at? Where should they stay away from? Anything like that to make them feel comfortable in their surroundings is a good thing to do. Is just to have those brief little conversations about it. Not every class is going to look for that. Not every student's going to look for that, but just having that and being prepared, I think, is a great thing you could do, because they're away from home. They're staying in a hotel.
Like, where's the bet? No, I was thinking about grocery stores, like where the local grocery is, or a farmer's market, if they, those kind of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, just there may be a website they could go to that you point them towards to say, here's all the town activities, go here. This shows what's going on. But it just shows that you care about your community, because that's a big part of what we do in the restaurant business, and especially with Dairy Queen. We want to be part of that community. And this shows that that's an important thing, is to be part of that community. So we can start teaching them, and that's stuff that's not in the book, but we can start teaching them this is important stuff. So that gives us some ideas of how we do that in the restaurant. Now, there's also a mission statement in your books. I believe it's all written out for you for the most part. It's got some fill in the blanks, but let's give you a chance to fill those in. And as you're doing that, I'll kind of walk through this mission statement. It's a little lengthy, but then we'll talk about it. So it's a program designed to build on your capability. So you've already have the knowledge and skills. All we're going to do is build on that a little bit, so you can take your knowledge and skills and put them into practice to deliver our formal Dairy Queen training programs. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is build on what you already have. And at the end of these events, you want your students to have the ability to execute the content. You want that behavior-based, you want to be able to give them that behavior-based feedback, and to be able to assess the skills of your students. So those are really the things that you're trying to do. And if you think about all that, that's a lot to do. There's a lot of pressure on you and your team to deliver that material in a way that somebody can learn it. And that's why Adoka is so important, is so they can understand it. They can take it back to their restaurants, because it's not just about teaching them how to make a blizzard or how to make a signature stack burger. It's about teaching them how to teach somebody to do that. How do they teach somebody to set up the soft serve machine? How do they teach somebody to make sure the 3-bay sink is set up throughout the day? How do we teach somebody to restock? It's all of that stuff that seem relatively easy to us because we've been doing it for a while. To somebody that's brand new to Dairy Queen, or you're going to have this, some people that are brand new to restaurants, they're going to know nothing about a restaurant. So how do I help them understand that? Because how many other restaurants are out there that have 3 businesses under one roof? We've got a treat business in our buildings. We've got a food business in our buildings. We also have a cake business in our buildings. There's nobody else out there that has that. Yes, there's businesses like a Culver's is probably the closest thing, but not to the level we are. And especially with cakes, it's just something that's unique. So even if they have experience working in a McDonald's, it's going to be different for them. And so it's up to us and our training buddies and our teams to make sure that we can help them and deliver on that. So how do we break that down? What does it look like? So if you remember back to situational leadership, and we're on page 19 in your books, we talked about the different levels of communication and what they are, and it all depends on somebody's what their readiness level on a specific task is on when you would use these. Now, we're using those as an explanation of kind of the big picture of the training program and your role, and then down to the detailed level. And so we'll start with this. You can see the three things in your book. You can see it on the screen. But your overall role as an RTS is you're introducing franchisees and managers to the Dairy Queen system. You are the brand ambassador. You are the first touch of in restaurant to some of these people. Um, and even the people that have some experience that may come into your restaurant, you are going to be the person that really elevates that brand experience and that mission statement of creating positive memories to really provide them with the culture that we need to have this brand be around for another 85 plus years. And so we want to make sure that we're doing those types of things. So we have to observe, we have to see what they're doing, how they're doing. We have to show them, we have to look and watch and coach. I think is one of the things that Carrie said earlier is we need to continuously coach. And it's easy to see in a restaurant that is, I like to call it a dog and pony show. They don't follow all the standards unless somebody's there watching. That's really easy for people to see. And so we don't want that. We want this training world that you're getting ready to dive into. We want that to be part of your everyday environment. We want you to live that. Regan, you talked about the learning environment, and does it feel like that? Do we have that continuous improvement mentality, thought process in our restaurants? And so we want to see that pride in our business. We want to see the pride in how we interact with each other, our peers. We also want to see the pride in how we manage the business, the systems and routines, how we manage our regulars, and the other fans that we have. So that's kind of the big picture. And that's probably one of the big reasons that you and your restaurant were chosen or recommended to be a certified training restaurant, is because you're doing these types of things. We just want to make sure that they happen at a high level on a consistent basis, because you can't turn the switch on and off. You can see that, you can feel that. And so we want our trainees that come through to be able to take what you're teaching them, what they're observing, and put it back into their restaurants. Now, when I break down the task of the role of a restaurant training specialist, again, you can see these on the bottom of page 19. You can teach somebody how to train materials. One of the things that you're trying to help them do is teach them how to train according to the standards, how to use the systems and routines. How do you use DQ Learning Link? How do you use all of the tools and resources that we have as a system? How do we use all of those to make sure that our employees are set up for success, that our shift leads, that our managers are all set up for success, so we can run a shift that's profitable, that's consistent, and it meets DQ standards. So it needs to be all of that. So one of the things that we are going to be working with you on is how do I do all that in a 2-week time period? So how do I teach somebody all the products, all the positions, all the stocking, the cleaning, the systems, and how do I do all of that in 13 days? And that's a feat, right? That's a pretty difficult thing to do. And so we're going to go through that and teach you, how do I keep everything on track? How do I check in with people? How do I get other people involved? That could be the trainees, that could be the training buddies. You can't do this alone. You need other people. How do I put the accountability onto the trainee? It's their responsibility for learning. They have to put forth the effort. it can't just be one-sided. It can't just be you spoon feeding them. They have to do the work. They have to use the resources, the tools, the DQ learning link. They have to spend time practicing. That's up to them. You have to just give them the time and point them in the right direction, coach, answer questions for them. But in the end, they are accountable for their own learning. And finally, there's some administrative duties that you're going to get to do. And I know how we all love to do paperwork. We try to make it as limited and easy as possible. But how do, we're going to be talking about how do I make sure people do the knowledge exams correctly? How do I make sure that the skills assessments are completed correctly using behavior-based feedback? How do I do written feedback? And so we'll spend some time talking about that. And to dive even deeper to that detailed level, you think about what skills, what knowledge are you going to need to be able to train products? So obviously you need to know how to make all the products according to standard. You know how to work with the equipment. You know all the systems and routines that are out there, Redbook, Jolt, whatever you're using right now. And so that's a big piece of this. I just mentioned giving feedback. You're going to need to be able to observe people and how they're doing and give them feedback. The nice thing about this is you're going to learn about giving feedback. Well, you can use this with your managers and your crew. So you can teach them about feedback. And it's the exact same feedback, STAR and STAR AR, that you learned when you went to People, Pride, and Profit. So now I'm going to look for some hands, or Laura's going to look for some hands. But what do you think you're going to need to learn in order to be able to lead a class of, let's say, 3 to 4 people?
And that's internally or externally. So
Yep,
whether you're taking internal people or external, you're going to have to lead a class, right? A 14 or a 15-day class.
So you can see the second bullet point. Reading through that, what do you think you're going to need help with? What's the something you think I'm going to need to learn that or be better at that if I'm going to lead a class of 3 to 4 trainees?
Think they're reading the list.
Yep.
Maybe it's what might be difficult. Be another thing, like what might you This is where you all participate. Go ahead, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, in my position overseeing multiple restaurants, I don't get some of that everyday on the floor experience. So I think getting back to the basics, making time in my schedule to say, hey, from this time to this time, I'm gonna work on this product, or this time to this time, I'm gonna work on this knowledge that maybe escapes me a little bit at times.
Okay,
yeah,
that's a good point.
I could see that, Mark. It's if you remember back to what we do, you are right now probably, and this would probably go for a lot of you. You are unconsciously competent. You just do it. You don't know why you do it. You don't know how you do it. You just do it. When you're leading trainees and you have to give those details, those specifics, you have to move yourself back to consciously competent. So you are able to give the details and explain and slow down and not miss things. Like in the videos earlier where you talked about, they didn't mention anything about the hand washing or the paper sleeve or the drip ring. It's easy to forget those things if you don't get yourself back to consciously competent.
Regan has his hand up.
Okay.
I think one thing that could be difficult is, especially if you're doing like externally, because people could come from different companies or different franchisees, so they may have, even though there's the Dairy Queen standards, but they may have a little different way of the way their store operates, and so just kind of making sure that you're all operating in a consistent way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why understanding the standards, the DQ standards, and you teach it in that manner, that this is the DQ standard. So it doesn't matter your layout, it doesn't matter your product mix. This is how you do this. This is how you make a blizzard. Period. It doesn't matter, what machine you have. None of that matters. And so I think that's a good point. Regan is really talking through and understanding that. People will be at different readiness levels of learning. Some are going to show up with zero Dairy Queen experience. And so they're going to know nothing. And others maybe they've been around for 5 or 6 years. They've never been through training formally. They just went through an informal training. Maybe that's what you're going to deal with. I think it's just being prepared. Somebody said that earlier, being adaptable.
Lachelle put setting expectations. I'm not, Lachelle, could you explain that a little bit more? Like it will be difficult or it'll be important, which I didn't know which way you were going with that.
Important.
Okay.
More because sometimes when it's important for them to know what they're expecting when they come in, such as like policies, when it comes down to equipment or any product, like what are recipe policies, what are soft serve machine policies, what are the expectations and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Michelle, I would add, what are your store policies? Where do they park? What's your meal policy? What's your phone policy? What's your smoking policy? All of that stuff, because it's your restaurant. So you get to have those. So I think expectations, that's a really big part. We're going to talk more about day one during the next session. We're going to spend some time talking about it. And then again at the in-person event.
Thanks, Lachelle. Appreciate that. And Mark and Regan.
Mm-hmm. So I think that gives us an idea, but the biggest, when you really think about leading a class, it's setting those expectations. It's keeping them on track, holding them accountable. What do I do if people aren't doing their homework? What happens then? What if they're difficult? What if they come in late? What do I do then? What happens if a manager comes in smelling like alcohol or marijuana or something like that? What happens then? We're going to spend some time talking about that. And unfortunately, I wish we could say that's never happened, but unfortunately, that does happen. And we want you to be prepared for that. We don't want you just to think that stuff never happens. I mean, we had one that, and this is the only time it's ever happened. Somebody showed up for service management and financial basics, and they had a giant service dog that we knew nothing about until they showed up. They didn't use it in product and equipment training, but it traveled with them when they went to their service management financial basics. And so we had no idea what to do. So we had to get our legal department involved. But crazy stuff happens, and we just have to be adaptable and know that crazy stuff's going to happen. So, that makes it hard to stay on track. But we'll work with you if some of those crazy things happen.
As Jamie said, adaptability.
You're right.
Flexibility.
Yeah. Yep. The last one is completing administrative duties. There's not a lot of administrative duties. Most of them are the skills assessments. So some of you have had experience. You've seen them with your business consultant. Maybe you've even helped your business consultant do some of those, or you went to an in-restaurant training class and had them completed. Those we're going to talk a lot about providing feedback and using those forms and how to do them. They're not a secret. They're something you will give to the trainees on day one and say, here they are. This is what you're going to be expected to be able to do. We're not trying to get them. We want everybody to pass. That's just our philosophy on it. But it's, how do I give written feedback? How do I write it in a way that I can email it to this manager's franchisee that's across the country from your restaurant, where they can picture that manager working and doing it, and they doing the tasks, and they can say, oh, here's the things they're good at that I can continue to build on. Here's the things where they struggle that I need to coach them or be ready to support them. And so it's being able to provide that, and to provide that in a timely manner. So we want those within 5 business days of the end of a class, because sometimes those folks are starting training shortly afterwards, or they're opening a restaurant, and we want to provide the operations consultant and that franchisee as much information about how they're training, how the opening's going to go. So we want to provide those. So we're going to spend more time talking about the administrative duties as we go through this class. And as we've been saying since the first call, you cannot do this alone. If you think you're going to do your job of managing the restaurant and you're going to be supporting training classes and do it all, you're going to be sorely mistaken. Like I said, I've been doing this for 18 years, the field-based training. Nobody has ever succeeded at that. Some people have tried, and they always come back and say, I wish I would have listened to y'all earlier. You need to lean on your training buddies. It doesn't mean they're going to do all the training, but maybe you do some of the sit down training, and when it's time to go back and teach blizzards, you have a training buddy that does that. And that gives you a little break to prepare for the next section, maybe go make a phone call or do something that you need to do. And they work with the training buddy and get some practice. And then when they're done, they come back to you or something like that. A training buddy could take on some of your responsibilities. Like maybe they do the truck order while you have a class, or they do inventory, or they do the schedule, whatever it might be. They take something off of your plate. And so that's the part of this that we want to stress. And that's why we talked about it last call and this one, is you really need to be prepared to lean on them. And so we want you to think about who's your training buddies, specifically, what are they going to be doing for you? And then thinking about what will they need from you to be able to handle that. Will they need to be able to be more adaptable and flexible? Will they need to be more patient? Will they need to be more specific? What will they need from you to be successful as a training buddy? Because when you really think about it, you've got a franchisee sending somebody across the country, we'll say, to go to training. They've got their training fees that they get to pay, all those travel related expenses they get to pay. It is a huge investment. And we want that franchisee to get a return on that investment. Just like we want your franchisee to get a return on investment in you and developing you as a restaurant training specialist. And so we want that for everyone. We want that ROI. So thinking about that, what might be a monkey that you are considering delegating to one of your training buddies? You and Laura talked about this a little bit right at the beginning during the review of last week's call or last call.
That was just more in general about giving away
Yeah.
monkeys, but not to the training buddies, not to develop the training buddies. So,
Correct. Yep. But we started
Yeah.
talking about it a little bit.
yeah.
Anybody got one? I'm going to ask the question in a different way. And you can do this by show of hands or by thumbs up. Okay.
Mhm.
Probably show of hands would be better, right? And I mean the technical show of hands. So use technology. And then Laura.
That's
can
right,
kinda
Carrie.
Okay.
That's the way, Carrie.
Yep.
Exactly.
So here is my question.
Carrie was demonstrating.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Are your training buddies prepared today to help you train and or take some of your responsibilities? If you can raise your hand, you've got one that's ready today. Raise your hand. If you have
one
zero,
person.
don't raise your hand.
Got Mary, Jess, Mary, Julie, Carrie, Dakota, Manuela, Manuelito, Lachelle, Regan. Mostly.
Okay. So almost all of you have at least one training buddy that's ready to go. If there's other people that you're thinking of being training buddies, are they ready to go? For those that weren't able to raise your hand, what do they need from you? That's going to be part of the assignment that you're going to have before the next call, is really putting some thought behind it and say, okay, this training buddy is going to complete this task. This is what they're going to do, and this is what they need from me. And you have to put in there a plan so you don't take that task back. That's a key thing, is you can't take the task back. Because then it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you. You are going to burn yourself out if you're trying to do everything. And you'll just say, I don't want to do training anymore. And we don't want that. We want this to be a fun thing. We want this to be a stretch, but we want it to be fun. We want you to enjoy this, and have some passion behind the training. I believe somebody put that as earlier as well. At Effective Trainers, is you want some of that passion to do that, and where you get a chance to share your knowledge and experience with Dairy Queen.
So can I add something to that, Russell? Just thinking
Sure.
about, so think about how sometimes we take on the role of cleaning certain machines. Like, we don't like to delegate that out because there's so many parts and all of that. So is there somebody in your store that can teach instead of you teaching the soft serve machines, that can teach cleaning the soft serve machines, the Misty machine, the pumps, the clamshell, right? The soda machines in the drive-through, right? That might know how to do some of the POS functionalities if something happens, like, those kinds of things. Because it doesn't have to always be you to teach those things. So some of the tasks, maybe you have, well, I was going to say Russell, but I don't know that Russell could make the perfect cone either. But you have that person that makes the perfect cone in your restaurant, have them teach how to make the perfect cone.
Thank you, Laura.
Y'all can put your hands down, by the way.
Yeah. And I would say that if let's say you started a class and you have a class and you're sitting there talking to them right now and you're having discussions, who's managing the shift? Because it can't be you. Because what do you do with the trainees? You have to keep getting up, doing whatever it is. There's got to be somebody there. And so a training buddy could be doing that. as well, or maybe they're sitting with the trainees while you manage a shift. And so there's a lot of things to think about when you're managing this and handling this. So um, what questions do you have about what we talked about today? You feeling all right about what you've learned in the first two calls? We've went pretty high level about kind of a adult learning principles is really what we're doing, setting that foundation, the basics. Um, so are you feeling pretty good right now?
At least head nod or something.
Something. Do want to? Oh, sorry.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. I'll put my camera back on. Do one of these.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like most everybody's doing all right right now. It's a lot of information. I know you understand your processing as well. So let's do a quick review of kind of what we talked about today. So this is raise your hand and you'll be answering. Okay. Important to use EDOCA as a training model.
Did you say why? You
Why
kind of cut
is
out
it
there
important?
for a second.
Yes. Why is it important to use EDOCA? Mark.
It gives you the opportunity to address several different types of learning styles, whether that be audio or visual. Yeah.
Yep, that's the biggest reason right there, is it allows for different learning styles to use their skills, their understanding, so they can get what they need out of it. And that's the biggest reason why we use EDOCA. And all of our training is set up that way. And remember, if somebody goes back and watches a video or reads through a tool that's on DQ Learning Link, that's part of the explain and maybe even some of the demonstrate. So understanding what videos are will tell you how much more you need to do. I don't need to reteach completely how to make a blizzard if they've watched how to make a blizzard. I will ask them, what are some key things you've learned about making blizzard? What did you see? Now let's do one. I don't need to teach it from start to finish. That's a waste of time, your time and their time. So let the videos do part of that explain for you. And that goes for your crew members as well. That's why utilizing DQ Learning Link and that position-based training really helps to speed up and gets people to a proficient ability faster. And that's what we're trying to get to, because that gives us a better return on investment. Again, we're about making profits. Each one of us are, and that's what we need to do. What are some things that separates an effective trainer from an ineffective trainer? Carrie.
The way one communicates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's be able to provide the details when I need to and back off when I don't need to. When somebody's first learning, I need to give more details and then I back off. So I would agree with that. I saw a couple other hands pop up and then they went.
Dakota
Pam,
was
I thought
one.
it was Dakota was one.
Mm-hmm.
So I had kind of the communication piece of it
Okay.
as well, but also the kind of explaining the why we do it and then
Okay.
asking follow-up questions as you're doing it or after the fact, just to ensure that they're retaining the information.
I like the addition of the why, and because that helps the brand with consistency. They now understand the reasoning behind the 917 curl. You know, oh, great, it's trademark. Okay, good. Well, why is that important? And making sure they understand the importance of that.
Regan had his hand up as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the adaptability, but you kind of already touched on that.
Okay.
So
The adaptability. Okay. Okay. For those that have recently answered, you don't get to answer this round. So Mark, Carrie, Dakota, and Regan, you're not allowed to answer this round. Okay. Specifically, what are some things you're going to have your training buddy do? Jamie.
It's kind of just touching on what Laura said, and it's a good idea. The machines, the pumps. I have several that are capable of doing that. So
Okay. We just need to let
maybe
go.
and see how they would train somebody,
Okay.
before I give a task.
Yep, I like that. Where they train you, train the trainer, right? We're going to give you a form. I think it's the next, yeah, I think it's the next session. You're going to learn about feedback, and there's actually a train the trainer form where you can go through and coach them with it. All right, thanks, Jamie. Mary.
Kind of like what Jamie said, having my training buddy train someone else, so you have some bench work to work with.
Okay. Yeah, I think having that bench is critical. We can't just have 2 or 3 people that know how to do something. We need 8 to 10 people. That just makes everybody stronger and do that. Somebody said, somebody with the Chambers group, you had something called the Rising Star Cross Training Program. I love that. And I think that's a great thing to put into practice. So, all right, that's 2 more people that don't get an answer. So the original 4 plus the 2 that just answered, you can't answer anymore for right now. So thinking back to the roles of an RTS, the stuff that was on pages, let's see, 19 and 20. So thinking of those things there, what are the parts that we're going to start with. I need 2 people to tell me what parts are you comfortable with right now. You feel confident that once we get through this training, you're going to feel good about doing this. Okay. Lachelle?
Creating routines and systems.
Okay, so creating those systems, those routines that people can follow, be it your
Mhm.
training buddies or the other folks. Okay, good. Somebody else? Julie?
Well, in my team, I already have a complete training buddy, so I think they're able to help if I'll be having, I'll be leading 3 to 4 trainees in my store. So I think they could help since they are all phase 1, phase 2 certified already.
Okay, that's great. So you've got a good bench of training buddies. Now it's just fine tuning what else do they need from me to be an effective trainer and or handle some of your responsibilities. So great. I'm glad you've got those. Kempton, I saw your hand pop up.
I was just gonna say, I feel pretty uncomfortable, or feel pretty comfortable with the Idoka method. It's something that I think my team were already implementing, and it's definitely the most effective way to train. So that's something I feel like we're comfortable with.
Okay, that's good because it's actually uncomfortable for most people. It doesn't seem normal. Most of us train by showing and talking as we're training. That's because that's the way we were taught when we were little and going up. That's how we learn. And so it's a little bit different to take that step back. So I'm glad you and your team are moving forward with that, because sometimes that's difficult to break the habit of combining explain and demonstrate. So that's good. Manuelito.
Yeah, with regards to my training bodies, I make some chart like a key area of responsibility for the training bodies for their specific role, objectives, and obligation regarding to the treat and services. And also I make a time frame for the training bodies to accomplish each task and goal to every training.
Okay. So to me, that sounds like you've got a pretty detailed plan thought out already. And so that's good thinking of that. So they know what their expectations are, and or what your expectations of them are. They know that, and you can follow up with them and coach them and provide them support as they need. Good. Last but not least, Miss Jess.
Yes.
Same question. Looking through that list, what is something that you feel comfortable that you're going to be able to do well with continued training as we go through this process?
Well, we just finished up a few months ago having 2 trainees go through our program with Kylie, and I was the buddy. So I don't feel that it's going to be very hard at all to just switch positions.
Okay. So you've been through it once as the buddy. Now Kylie's going to be the buddy and support you.
Correct.
Okay, since you've had experience, I'm going to ask you a slightly different question then. Which part of training do you think you'll need the most support on? Is it position-based training? Is it DQ Learning Link? Is it equipment? Is it shift lead? Is it management tools or reports? What's the part?
The technology part is what I don't love. That I do love the Learning Link. However, I'm not really Olympic at it.
Okay.
Olympic.
And that's a good way to put it.
Olympic.
And I would, if I had to guess, I would say there's others on the call that would like to know more about DQ Learning Link and be more comfortable with DQ Learning Link. That's fairly typical when somebody's first learning to go through this program. I don't doubt that at all. So now Kylie knows what that is, and so she can help guide you of what does that look like, how does it do. But the biggest thing for y'all is watching the videos, understanding the schedule when we give you and go over that schedule of how does this all flow? What does this look like? How does this work together? I think that's one of the biggest things that you can do. The next thing we've got,
what about Roy?
Oh, I didn't.
Roy,
is Roy still on? Oh, Roy's still on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I didn't know Roy was actually going through the training pro to be an RTS. I believe Roy's observing.
Okay.
He supports Kempton and Regan and
Okay.
Dakota. Are you all 3 from the same group? Or is it just Regan and Kempton from the one group?
Not me, no.
Oh, you're not? Okay. So
Okay.
just Regan
Sorry,
and
I thought
Kempton
he
are from
was.
your group.
I wasn't sure. Okay. Didn't want him to feel left
but
out.
Roy, if you would like to give an answer, we would love to hear your voice.
Putting him on the spot.
Okay, so I did that a little bit different. I did a review and I combined that with the green, yellow, red. What do you feel good about? I didn't dive into what are you uncomfortable with specifics. I didn't ask that. Most of you said you're feeling pretty good about this. So that's going to actually be one of your pieces of homework, is to spend some time working on that green, yellow, red. And you are going to send that to your field trainer. So we want to see that in the email. And I'm going to go back to the slide real quick so we can all be on the same page. and look at this. And this should be on page 22 in your books. These are the assignments. So when you do this, we want you to send us that green, yellow, red sheet. Okay, take a picture of it is fine. After you have it handwritten, we don't need it typed out. It doesn't need to be fancy. Don't worry about how you write. Don't worry about spelling. If you saw the way I write and spell, you'd understand why. Okay. So we do want to see that. And that's going to be due by Thursday, October 23rd. Okay. The other thing, and I'm going to skip down to bullet point number 4. We've talked about this a couple times today. Here's where we're going to need a list of your training buddies, and we want to know what specific tasks are they going to be responsible for, and what are they going to need from you to be successful. So you're going to have to put some thought behind this. Again, you're going to have to think about who the training buddies are for each area. And then you're going to have to think, okay, I'm going to have them do these things, and it could be a responsibility like truck order or something like that. What do they need from you to be successful? Okay. That's also going to need to be turned in by Thursday, October 23rd. Now I'm going back up to the second bullet point. On DQ Learning Link, there is an Adoka video. We're going to want you to go on there and watch it. Okay, so we've talked about it today. This is a short video. I believe it's about 2 to 2.5 minutes. It's not very long, but watch that before you do bullet point number 3. Okay, you are going to videotape yourself. And I say videotape, I'm sorry. You're going to video yourself using the little computer that you carry around and use as a phone and a texting device. You're going to use that to video yourself teaching somebody to make a small cone. Okay? So you're going to do that. You're going to video yourself teaching somebody to make a small cone. You are going to submit that to us using WeTransfer. You should have a piece of paper in your books, a loose paper in your books that explains it. We will put that on, also add it to the recap email so you can see that. Please do not delete this video. You will need it after the next call. Okay, so you're going to watch the Adoka video, and then you're going to video yourself training somebody to make a small cone. What questions do you have about that? It does not have to be professional photography. A iPhone, Android, whatever you have is fine. I don't think most flip phones have video capabilities. So if you have a flip phone, you may have to borrow somebody or have them video for you. Okay. There is another thing that you get to do. In your books, you will see a QR code. And it says, watch generational learning video. It's about 9 minutes long. So just plan to watch it. The video goes over how different generations learn. What do they expect from you? How do they learn best? And so it gives you an idea, because you're going to have all sorts of different learners, different skill levels, different knowledge levels, different backgrounds, and also different ages. And they may all be in the same class. So you're going to need to understand a little bit about generations just so you can be prepared when you have groups come in. Again, this is adding to your adult learning toolbox, so you can have a little bit better preparation, a little bit better foundation as a training professional. So those are the things that you're going to get to do. And it's again due by October 23rd. So that is next Thursday, I believe.
Correct.
So please don't wait too long to start. Again, the video does not have to be perfect. Don't reshoot it 12, 13 times. Don't do that. Think about what you're going to say. Do that, and then we'll take a look at it. We will not show those on screen during the next event. We will put them on YouTube. And that's not a lie, but it is our internal YouTube channel. So only our
It's
team
like, don't
can
freak
see
them
it.
out, Russell.
So we do upload those to our channel. So only us can see it, but that way we have a little bit to talk about. We're not going to call anybody out and say, you did great, you did terrible. It's not that. We'll talk about generalities. What did we see as a group? What are some areas of opportunity as a group? That's how we'll do that. All right. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to any of the field trainers. I would probably say start with Wade. He's the smartest and the best out of all of us. So start with Wade.
No, I'm just curious who's still sharing their screen. Did you see everybody's picture?
The only one that I'm not seeing is Dakota's right now.
It's you though. You're sharing the screen of all of us. He's giving you a hard time.
Oh yeah, I am. It's fine.
That way everybody can see themselves twice.
At
Okay.
least, you know.
There, is that better? It didn't change for me at all.
It's shocking.
It's only about, here's the thing that you all need to know. It's about me. It's all about
This is
me.
Russell. And this is the world that revolves around Russell.
Yeah. I'm at the top box, right? Is where I'm at.
Pyramid like that. This is Russell.
Our next session is the 28th of October, and you will get to see Randy again.
Mm-hmm.
And you will also get to have Amanda.
Yeah.
So after that one, you will have seen us all.
Yeah. Lucky you.
Sorry.
And you can come in your Halloween outfits if you want to the next time. That's perfectly all right. It's encouraged, in fact, if you come in.
Some of you guys already dressed up like that, Russell.
Yep. All right. Well, if there's no further questions, we'll let you all go. Have a good one. Thank y'all.
Bye. Thanks for your time today, everyone.